Hi, this is Dr. Boydston, and what I want to share with you today is a little bit about my story and how I've come to work with thyroid and Hashimoto's patients from literally all over the world. And many patients are kind of intrigued. They're like, "Well, how did you get to this point? How did you get to this point where you understand how to help me?" And and really, it started out when I first started my practice and founded the Boydston Institute. Our primary focus was patients who had chronic pain, primarily that were given the label of fibromyalgia. And you'll find that there's a lot of overlap with these two conditions, and I still work with many fibromyalgia patients. And we used a functional neurological model where we were looking at functional brain weaknesses and doing functional neurological rehab to change the brain, and in doing so, um, decrease this body-wide pain that these patients were dealing with. And so I had a unique conversation with a patient just the other day um, who also sees patients. So it was nice to kind of share with her my story, and I figured I can share it with everyone else as well. So what would happen is that from our objective markers from our functional brain model, we can take two patients and have the exact same findings. So essentially, from the objective findings, they were the same. But what would happen is one patient would do phenomenal, pain almost gone, sometimes very, very quickly. And then another patient, it was like no matter what we did, um, they didn't get well. And if you've ever worked with patients, then you know that you can have an office with 99 patients that are just doing fantastic and one who's not doing so well, and that one that's not doing so well will overshadow everything else that you're doing. And that's what was happening to me is I was just beating myself up trying to figure out why what was different with these patients that looked the same from the point of view that we were looking at them from in the beginning. One got great results, one got almost no results. So what was different? And so I started putting two and two together, and as I was reviewing files and just looking over some of the similarities with these patients, I was finding that the patients that weren't doing well um, all had in their file that they were taking some form of thyroid replacement. So they had hypothyroidism. And that was a part of the picture that I was not putting together. In fact, it was something that I noted, but assumed, like most doctors assumed, that because they were on thyroid medication, that their thyroid problem was taken care of. There was nothing else they needed to do. And started looking back, and finding out that the patients that did the worst were all the patients that were on thyroid hormones. And so that led me on this big journey and search to start putting the pieces together and combing through all the literature that was available, going to every author, every teacher, instructor out there that was teaching about the thyroid and some of the functional nuances about the thyroid, and eventually came to change my whole approach. And so we started looking at the immune system dysfunction, because really the commonality is they had a thyroid problem, but really they had an autoimmune condition. And I find that most fibromyalgia patients have an autoimmune overlay to their problems. So dealing with the immune system is actually more effective, even for the patients that were doing well, than doing it the reverse, dealing with the brain. So that was my journey, and that's what led me here. So now, primarily, almost every patient that comes to me is a low thyroid Hashimoto's patient, and a lot of them still exhibit some of the same characteristics of our original fibromyalgia patients, but um, we found that now, dealing with this functional model and looking at everything, looking at the whole picture, um, that's what allows us to make great changes for these patients, and allow our patients to really get the quality of their life back. So I appreciate the conversation that I had with my patient as I related to her that it's so important. As a doctor, you beat yourself up because you want every single patient to do well, and that dissatisfaction with those patients that weren't doing well is really what led me to here. So um, I appreciate the experience and the growth and how much we've changed. And now, because of that experience, that original experience, here we are now, and we're able to help Hashimoto's patients from all over the world. So it's great. I love working with Hashimoto's patients because we see so much change, and there's most Hashimoto's patients get so little help offered to them. So that's my story, and that's where we started from, and that's how we got here. So thanks for tuning into today's blog video. If you haven't received a copy of our Hashimoto's Thyroid Recovery Report, then fill out the form on the website and get yourself a copy, because I go through a lot of details that would take it would be a really long video for me to put that all in video form. So I have a written report that you can read and really understand a lot of the little nuances that can help you feel better. So thanks for tuning in. This is Dr. Boydston.